This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.
Hello everybody and welcome to your Monday edition of the Blood Red podcast with me, Theo Squires, brought to you by the Liverpool Echo in association with our sponsors NordVPN. We've already done one little mini episode today with Paul Gorst, all about the fallout from Mohamed Salah's comments at Ellen Road, so check that out on the Blood Red channel on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Today we're going to be looking a little bit further forward though, looking ahead to Inter Milan, the latest updates on Mohamed Salah from open training and Liverpool flying out to Milan. And I suppose we should probably touch on Leeds United as well. We don't really want to, but it's a game that happened. It didn't go brilliantly for Liverpool. Joining me, it's Mark Jones. How are you doing, Mark?
Good, yeah. Busy. It's been a busy few days, but yeah, I guess we get. I mean, the games just come thick and fast at the minute, don't they? So there's no sign of relenting, and it's been an eventful few days, shall we say?
One thing that's always relentless and is always on this podcast, it's a shout out to NordVPN. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link, as always, is in the podcast episode description box. Unfortunately, we're not live on YouTube today. We are having to do this one remote, even though Mark and I are both in the office. But because you're getting 2 podcast episodes today, it's all right, isn't it? We can soldier on. And we'll go straight into the breaking news in the last half hour or so, isn't it? We're recording at 4 o'clock now, that Mohamed Salah is not in the Liverpool squad that's travelled to Milan. We expected it. There was whispers that was going to be the case. Mark, is it the right decision?
I think it probably is. I think it might just be time to kind of draw the line under the weekend's events, and I mean, given this decision now, maybe he's perhaps going to miss Brighton as well, and then we know that he's not going to be around anyway. So I think Liverpool probably would give anything for the African Nations Cup to be now, or for him to go away now, because it would give them an excuse perhaps to kick this can down the road a bit. But yeah, it's not a surprise. It's the whole situation is kind of crazy, really, how it's all unfolded since it's not even 48 hours. It feels like it's a bit longer, but yeah, it's not a surprise to see. I mean, perhaps the surprise, and you were there. Perhaps the surprise is that he came out for training in the first place. I mean, I guess maybe that would have been more of a story if he wasn't seen at training. Then perhaps Liverpool have got to release a statement about that, and so it's kind of just been treated in a way that the player's not been selected, hasn't it? Which we all know there's a hell of a lot more to it than that.
And it's a strange one in terms of the club announcing it, because it's not on the website there, and they've not really said about the players being injured. Because you look at who's not travelled, there's no Cody Gakpo, there's no Federico Chiesa. Jeremy Frimpong, he was at open training but working on his own, so he's not in the squad either. No Wataru Endo. They're looking very, very short in attacking bodies. It would have been easy to go, right, we need Mo Salah for this one to make up numbers, but to leave him out altogether, it shows how light they're going to be without him.
Yeah, it's a bit alarming, isn't it, when you look at that? And yeah, I mean, the Gakpo injury has kind of come a little bit out of nowhere. Chiesa as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would have been very tempting for them to say, well, we do actually need you for this one, Mo, and I think it just further underlines that this situation, I think, is kind of gone a bit out of control now, because when you actually sit and think about, Liverpool are missing 2 wide forwards and they still haven't put him in the squad, so I think it's kind of says everything you need to know about the situation and where it's heading, unfortunately.
Ian Doyle is out in Milan. He's filed the story about the squad being announced. And it sounds like from the club they're saying it's a selection decision. It's not disciplinary. He's not been disciplined for those comments at the weekend. But there is obviously something going on underneath here, behind the scenes. There'll have been talks between Arne Slot, Mo Salah, Richard Hughes maybe as well, to try and clear the air. Arne Slot will speak, 2.5 hours, 2 and a bit more, like 6:45, isn't it, UK time, the press conference today. So we'll hear what he has to say. He might have already spoken by the time people are listening to this podcast, but there are going to be plenty more twists and turns. The only thing we know for sure at the moment is he's not going to be out there in Milan, but then he could make a farewell appearance against Brighton, or he could somehow find his way back in. He could be welcomed back into the fold and make up with Arne Slot. It's just baffling, isn't it? It's an unprecedented turn of events for Liverpool.
It is just baffling, and when it does dawn on you that you might have seen him, it might be the last time you've seen him play for Liverpool, which is quite remarkable, really. and it's sad. It's one of the great Liverpool careers, third top goal scorer of all time, and it would be terrible if this was the way that it has to end. But the way it's looking, it's the mood music from everything. It's that's how it seems, and it's and yeah, you come back to the injuries. I can't avoid that. I think it's just a further statement of where this is going. And look, we all hope for a kind of reconciliation and a nice, if he is to go, like a friendly wave off goodbye. But you'd have to say that's looking less likely now. And it's just a crazy turn of events, crazy few days, and one thing that is for certain, I think, is they're going to miss him on Tuesday, because, as we've said, the players that aren't going to be there, and the attacking reserves are very light. So it seems to have reached the point of no return, in my opinion, anyway. Just with this action by leaving him out of the squad.
Well, it's a powerful move from Arne Slot for sure, but then it had to be, didn't it? You can't have one of your players, even if that was your star player, calling the shots, calling you out in public. Even though Arne Slot's under pressure, the club had to back the head coach over the player.
Yeah, you have to. You do, and I get it. It's become a bit of an online thing, hasn't it? You're either team Slot or you're team Salah, and these things are often a lot more complicated than that. And you just have to kind of look at the sort of maths of it. Mo Salah's a 33-year-old footballer. He's what has happened this season is Liverpool have and I wrote this in a piece actually. Like, I think what's happened is perhaps we were all a bit naive in a way, because we know that Liverpool had to try and start planning for life after Salah. We know that that's what a lot of these signings are for. Maybe we were a bit naive in thinking, oh, Mo Salah's going to be fine with that. He's going to be happy to play less of a role, which he wasn't. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, he was playing a lot, and obviously, his returns were diminishing from what we've seen from him in the past. But I just wonder if he's looked at it and gone, you're planning for this life without me. Hang on, I'm still here, and there just seems to be a bit of friction there, and it's reached a point where Arne Slot has gone, well, unfortunately, you're a 33-year-old player with a year and a half left on your contract, Mo, and it's life goes on at a football club, and you'd have to say Slot is correct in that. But where the criticism I and others have of him, I think, is that he's perhaps lost sight of the here and now this season, and he's allowed things to get out of control in the way that we've seen them over the last few weeks, 2 months.
Now, I was at Open Trading today, and maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it, but it did feel like a different atmosphere there, in terms of it wasn't as much of players being in good spirits. They weren't as vocal. They weren't joking around with each other as much. Certainly not at the start of the session. But then we see Mohamed Salah. He's still having a little bit of a laugh with Dominic Szoboszlai, having a little bit of a laugh with Alexander Isak. He's there. They're trying to make it business as normal. But it must be awkward there. Like, the photographers were trying to get that money shot of Slot and Salah, but they didn't really have an exchange with each other. Maybe that's for the best. Like, whatever they say to each other, you want it to be behind closed doors, whether it's clearing the air or saying this is going to be the end in a few weeks. But there's still plenty to unfold here.
Yeah, there is, and it is funny. It's funny, isn't it? And you see all the photos. You try and find the angles, and that the one of them kind of looking the other way, and there's been lots of images of when Salah's got substituted this season and walking straight past Slot and things like that. And as I do find it curious that he took part in the session, but again, when you think about it, maybe the club just wanted to they felt that was the best course of action, and you can say better than me. You were there, but a lot of the images, he does seem to be going out of his way to be having a laugh and a joke with everyone, and maybe that's his way of saying, this isn't about my teammates, this isn't about the club. It goes back to that thing he said on Saturday night about it being one person, and we've all taken that to mean Arne Slot. So it's clearly an uneasy kind of truce, isn't it, there? And you think now with the squad away, so you'd imagine, I mean, he's probably going to have the day off tomorrow, and then does he come back on Wednesday? The squad will have a recovery day, I'd have thought, after Milan, and then Thursday it'll be looking ahead to Brighton. So maybe we're doing all this again on Thursday, and is he involved in training ahead of the Brighton game? So as I said before, I think the club will just be desperate now to have AFCON come in and maybe they can move beyond this, because it's not going anywhere soon, is it?
We'll touch on Leeds now, because I suppose depending on your Mo Salah glass half full, half empty, it's Liverpool 3 unbeaten without him starting games. But it's a game they really should have won. They threw it away twice. It piles the pressure on Arne Slot. You wonder if Salah doesn't say what he does if they win 3-2, if that last-minute equaliser doesn't go in. But it's another case of they've looked sloppy from a set-piece at the end. Konate's had a nightmare giving away a penalty. Everything that has gone wrong for Liverpool this season was on show in that game.
Yeah, it's another case of a moment kind of going against them, and in this case it was a self-inflicted one, and that just completely disintegrating the morale of the team, everything that they'd shown to go 2-0 up, which was good, which was, I mean, to all intents and purposes, it felt as though the game was almost drifting towards a Liverpool win, and at 2-0 you'd have thought maybe there's a third to come later on, and they just wrap this up, and they go away with 3 points, and you think Leeds had their big week. They'd beaten Chelsea in midweek, and that was my sort of thought going into the game. I thought, well, Leeds aren't used to playing 3 games in a week, and so that might help Liverpool actually. Leeds are going to tire a bit late on, but the moment that Konate concedes that penalty, you just saw. I mean, it's almost on everyone's face, wasn't it? You saw the way it was good. It was going to go, and I mean, everyone's obviously touched on the penalty. I found the second goal almost baffling. He's just almost ran through them, and they didn't appear to have anything in them to stop him. And then again, almost the most concerning thing about this is they then got back and they got 3-2 up. And so many times this season that we've seen this where they don't react to adversity and they crumble under pressure. Well, they've gone and done that. They've got the third goal, and that's the chance to show, okay, it's different this time. Let's see this out. And you almost knew as soon as that 9 minutes goes up, you thought, well, there's going to be a chance, and it just, it was a mess. And another set-piece goal conceded, obviously.
There are a couple of positives we can take offensively in terms of Ekitike gets 2 goals, pouncing on a defensive mistake, and doing really well to get on the end of that Conor Bradley cross. And then such a good teamwork move for the third one from Szoboszlai. But when they're conceding goals like they are as well, it's almost like, well, what's the point? We've had all these weeks of Liverpool not looking good offensively, not taking the chances, not creating enough. But when they do, it doesn't matter if you're still going to concede 3 sloppy goals.
Absolutely, and that's you mentioned it before about the absence of Salah, and I think you can look at it in that sense where you think, well, they've scored 6 goals in a week where he's not started, and Ekitike's got a couple, Isak's got one, Gakpo's got one, Szoboszlai's got one, Wirtz kind of got one, which went in off the defenders. So you can almost say, the attackers are producing now. But I mean, it's an old adage in football, isn't it? The whole idea that the defences are the ones that win your titles, and Liverpool are way off the title now. But the defence and Konate being the headline act at the moment, almost not really fit for purpose at the moment. It's just you just don't have any confidence that they're going to see anything out and not shoot themselves in the foot at any moment, really.
And you wonder how much of that plays on Salah's mind when he comes out and says what he said, because you can look at that team and go, Konate's not playing any better than him, probably should be taken out. There's been plenty said about Milos Kerkez throughout the season. Why is he playing ahead of Andy Robertson? And Cody Gakpo in particular as well. He's come out for a lot of stick recently. Obviously, he's not going to play now tomorrow because he's got this fitness issue. But these players across the board aren't performing. It isn't just Mohamed Salah. So it gives Arne Slot plenty to solve to try and find a way to get the team back into form. And now they're going to Inter Milan away, which will be one of their toughest games so far this season.
And they're going with a threadbare 19-man squad
full of kids and goalkeepers.
Yeah, full of kids and goalkeepers. It could be Freddie Woodman's time to shine. You never know. But it's
send it to Adrian. He could have a run outfield. He did it in that testimonial.
Yeah, it's it is. You do have to sort of stop yourself, don't you, at times, and think how's it got here. But I think your point about Salah is a good one. I think he can certainly look around the squad and go, well, I've still been contributing, which he has. I mean, he's obviously not contributing the numbers that we saw last season, but he wasn't the sort of root of the problem, I think, early on in the season, and a lot was obviously made of the new players coming into it, and perhaps Slot, perhaps the club have decided that, well, they seem to have decided that this is it. Now we have to double down on these players that we've paid all this money for, and Mo Salah isn't a part of that. And however grating, however odd it is to see what's unfolding, I think that's the stance that the club have taken. And so going to somewhere like the San Siro, I mean, it's going to be difficult for it. I mean, Liverpool have had some good results there, haven't they, in recent times? But you can't say with much confidence that they're going to go there and pull something off against what is a really good Inter Milan side.
Second in the table at the moment in Serie A, Inter Milan. Champions League finalists last year, though they did get annihilated by PSG in that final. But they are one of those danger sides in Europe. They've had such a good season so far for the majority. They have lost a handful of games. They lost to Atletico in the Champions League last time out. Did lose to AC Milan in the derby, and I've got a couple of defeats there to like Juventus and Napoli. But for the majority, they've been very good. They're coming into this game off a 5-1 win and a 4-0 win at home. One of those, the 4-0 was against Como. Got Cesc Fabregas in charge, and they've been having a great season as well, Como. So this is not going to be easy. And we mentioned this before you go on air as well, that Inter Milan, they're very much at a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2. You know their wing-backs are so dangerous. They're going to have width. They're going to have pace. And that's exactly what Liverpool are lacking going into this game without those wide forwards. They've only got a couple of fullback options as well. They're down to the bare bones. I'm feeling anxious about this one. Like, you can say PSV, batter you 4-1, Nottingham Forest, those are games you don't expect that to happen. You can stomach a narrow defeat to Chelsea or United. But this could be one that goes horribly wrong for Liverpool, and you expect it to going into it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Sorry to bring that down for you.
Well, I think losing to PSV, losing to Forest, Inter Milan are a much better side than them ultimately. And the only thing is, it will bring out a bit of a rearguard reaction, you'd think, and there were signs, I thought, at West Ham that they can play in a more controlled, contained way, albeit against what was a very poor West Ham performance on the day. But you'd like to think going, it's almost a cliche, isn't it? You're going away to the San Siro, you've got to keep it tight, and there's no excuse for them. They're not going to go out there and they're not going to go flying around the pitch and leave themselves open, surely. So they're going to have to play themselves into the game, and the only way that you think they've got a chance of getting a result is by sort of staying solid, staying together. But the 3-5-2 point, against possibly the best side of Europe playing that way is going to be tricky, because Liverpool have struggled against that formation, haven't they? I think for a while now. So it's
some we countless times.
Yeah, exactly. So it is going to be tough. As I say, there's an outside hope there that they may just get stirred by the occasion, and I think all the fans, everyone watching this would say a draw would be a fantastic result. So they've got that, and a draw kind of keeps them in contention for the finishing the top 8, doesn't it? As well, I think it'll mean winning the final 2 matches. But
yeah,
if they
Inter are fourth, having won 4 and lost 1. Liverpool down in 13th, won 3, lost 2, and they are a point off the top 8. But then obviously we saw last year, we'll see this year, things can change very, very quickly in the Champions League.
It'll change. Yeah, and I guess there's a bit of a trump card in the back pocket with the Karabakh game at home last up, which surely, even in this season of all seasons, you'd back Liverpool to win that game at Anfield. If Liverpool go into that game needing 3 points to finish in the top 8, then everyone would snap your hand off that now, wouldn't they? So I think, they can go to Inter, and as long as they can stay compact and they can put up a good fight, I think that's ultimately, given the standards that we've seen in recent weeks, I think fans will just ask for that, really, and kind of whatever comes from it, we'll see. But yeah, it's certainly, I can't think of many other matches recently where there is such a kind of downcast approach to it, really, from the fans. I think everyone's expecting a bit of the worst, to be honest.
The only light you can find is maybe it'll be a bit like Barcelona 2007, like after the Risa Bellamy thing. Maybe the squad can come together and get that win, show that there's a bit more about them. We'll go through our lineup now, 19-man squad with lots of goalkeepers and kids, so there isn't going to be much to choose from in terms of that starting 11. Probably only one player you could really change in that back 5. Are you going to do it?
I am. That'd be Robertson for Kirk, as you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Kirkez has been terrible the last few games. I think he's played himself into sort of form, if you like, whatever counts for form for Liverpool players at the moment. But and I said this on a podcast I think the other week, like, these new players, we've spoken about them needing to integrate and needing to get used to things. Well, this is what they're doing now, so you just have to ride it. So if he's showing signs of doing okay, then I keep him in. So no, I'll stick with that, and I'll stick with the same back four as Leeds.
In midfield, are you going 4-2-3-1, or would you switch to a diamond, I suppose, with the lack of wide players?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see a diamond. I'd like to see maybe playing obviously Gravenberch at the base of it, and then have
box as well, couldn't it? But
yeah. Alexis McAllister has really kind of been underwhelming, hasn't he, of late? And I think there's only so
not touching the ball for the third goal.
Yeah, so I'd keep him out. I'd have Curtis and Szoboszlai then, and then Wirtz at the tip of that.
And then there's only two players left to
the forwards and the forwards, yeah.
So yeah, the only thing Slot's really got to decide then is how it actually shapes up, because it could be, say, Szoboszlai on the right.
You could do the box midfield with that, couldn't you? You could. It's a formation which allows them to be flexible, which I know Slot likes to do, obviously, just during the game. So I think you said it. There's possibly there's 19 there, but in reality, he's picking from a pool of 12,
isn't it?
Yeah, 30. You'd say it's there's the Gomez for Canate shout, but does he do that now? Does he? Yeah, exactly. So and unless he's trusting Gomez to play twice, which I don't think he will, and then McAllister being the other one. So yeah, you're probably picking him from a pool of 13, really, because he's not going to throw in Trey Leone, is he, or Ngomo? Well, Ngomo might get off the bench, but yeah, I can't see him starting. So what a situation to be in. Yes, if we need a goal, he's the one.
Well, he did all right against AC Milan, so maybe he'll get in pre-season. So maybe he'll do that again. Before we finish, what's your score prediction? How positive?
Oh wow. You know what? Let's go for a nice, horrible 0-0 draw.
The clean sheet. That's as positive as right. So I'm thinking 3-1 Inter or something. I think it's going to be a horrible night for Liverpool. Just because, Inter are so good at what they do, and you look at that Liverpool squad list, it's going to give them confidence. In front of their own fans, they're going to be up for it. They've had such a good start to the Champions League season. But then, if Liverpool can find a way to get a result, even if it's an encouraging draw, that sends a message. That can be given something to build on. Whether Salah's part of that future or not, it's what they need.
Yeah, and it'd be a nice end to a bit of a mad week, wouldn't it?
Well, fingers crossed. That's all we've got time for today. A bit of a shorter podcast, but you have had 2 episodes. We'll be back later in the week to carry on with all the Mohamed Salah fallout, look ahead to Brighton, and reflect on whatever the hell happens at Inter Milan on Tuesday night. Keep it with us. I've been Theo Squires. Thanks, Mark, for joining me. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.
This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.